Hi everyone, I'm Diane Poulis, and this is the Bay Lady Stitcher, where I talk about all things cross stitch and other crafts that I might be working on at the time. Welcome, this is my first Flosstube, and I hope you stick around and enjoy some of what I talk about today. I thought I'd start just talking a little bit about who I am, what I do, and how I came to cross stitch. I own my own home decorating business. I operate it out of my house, and interior designers contact me when they have a need for any kind of window treatment, whether it's panels or Roman shades, valances, anything. I make pillows and cushions, so I spend my life sewing. I also spend my life sewing up in my attic, so kind of like a Dickens novel over here where little Diane's sewing up in the garret, and every now and then somebody will open the door and yell dinner, and then I come down and my dinner, and that's how I live my life. I'm often out too at client consults and whatnot. It's a really fun, rewarding way to make a living. I'll put my any handles for any of my social media for my business. If you care to look and follow me there, you're more than welcome to. And on those channels, I tend to talk about how to make a box cushion or how I go about making a valance. So if any of that's of any interest to you, by all means, take a peek. But I'm here just to talk about my cross stitch. And so really when we're dealing in the home decorating sphere, especially up here in the Northeast, I'm out of Massachusetts, most people tend to keep their window coverings and all of that fairly sedate and simple. So we have a joke that if we were to write our memoirs, we would just entitle them 50 Shades of Grayish, because we do beige, we do gray, we do white, maybe a little pale blue, maybe a little pale green, but everything is just kind of very minimalist in terms of the colors that I'm dealing with. I mean, the fabrics themselves can be absolutely stunning, but there's just a certain sedateness to everything I make. So where do I come for color and whimsy? Well, of course, I come down here to cross stitch land, and there I find all the joy and color and fun that I could ever ask for. So I've been stitching since I was about, in my 20s. I started actually when I was in college and have done it more or less consistently. There were times where I didn't do much at all because I was raising children, or I don't know, had children or aging parents or starting a business, whatever it was. I wasn't able to really spend that much time stitching. So it's just recently, within the past few years, that I've taken it up as more or less a consistent thing that I do every day if I can. And the reason for this is why my business is very stressful. When you are dealing with high wealth clients who are spending a lot of money for you to provide them with a product, there's a lot of pressure, and you have to make deadlines, and you're always got people calling you and status updates and all of that, and the long hours and everything that it goes with it. So cross stitch is a way for me to bring the temperature down a little bit after a stressful day at work. I just find that putting needle and thread to fabric in that decorative way just tends to be very meditative and soothing to me. And in the meantime, I make something pretty, so I'm not just, watching TV, though I do plenty of that, don't get me wrong. But this is just my sort of my pacifier, if you will, that cross stitch has just really kind of saved my life over the past couple of years as I've been dealing with a lot of stress. And so finding Flosstube was just fantastic. I have a friend, Sue. We've been friends since kindergarten, if you can believe it, and she turned me on to Flosstube. I call Sue my chief enabler because, man, she finds all this stuff, and then she's like, have you seen this? And then, of course, you have to buy it, and you know how it goes. We all have our people, right? And so I'm going to put her Instagram handle into the comments as well. If you want to see some beautiful stitching and probably the Taj Mahal of chicken coops and an adorable Havanese dog named Asa, by all means, give her a follow. I think you'll really enjoy it. She's a very talented photographer as well. So everything she puts up on her Instagram feed is just so well done. So I would highly recommend her. But so Sue and I are besties. And so she turned me on to Flosstube. And it has really opened up a lot of avenues for me in terms of like the things that I pursue and the types of projects that I tend to gravitate toward these days. So it's really great. And Flosstube for me too is really a touchstone. As I'm watching so many of you, it is like sitting down having a cup of coffee with friends. My favorites probably are your favorites too, but I watch Carol Saltbox Stitcher all the time. Brenda and the Serial Starter, love those two. They just make me laugh every single time. So Tattered with Katie, Pumpkin Hollow Quilts with Olivia, and Teresa Kogut. Everything that she does is so beautiful, and many, many more. I'll just keep adding to the list as I film more of these, but those are the ones that come to mind as sort of I saw Brenda and Laura posted a video last night, and I just stopped everything and watched it because they just make me happy. So my goal is to maybe in some simple way add to that list of people that make you happy, make you laugh, inspire you. We'll see. So what have I been working on? Well, let me start with something that I have finished, not fully finished, but something I've finished, and I've had it done for quite a while. Never got it framed. I don't know why. But here is And Heaven and Nature Sing by Kathy Barrick. My friend Sue, Chief Enabler Sue, she told me about Kathy Barrick, and she said, oh, I love her woodland patterns. You should look. And of course I looked and said, oh yeah, I love them too. So I picked this one up for myself, and here it is, the finish. It's hard to get it all in the frame, but it is beautiful. And I have stitched this with NPI silks, the called for NPI silks on butter pecan, Lakeside butter pecan. And I loved it. And I know that Carol is doing this as a stitch along with some friends. And I have news for you, Carol, that is a big deer. It took me a while, but you will be so happy when you're done. Isn't that pretty? So I had that done. And of course, then like all of us, I'll just put that aside, and didn't get it framed last year. And although Sue is my chief enabler, she's also very generous. And so Sue had also picked up a Kathy Barrick. I'm just taking my needle minder off of the next thing I'm going to show you. So Sue had done one as well. And so when she was done, she said, here you go. And she gave me the pattern. She gave me the floss and whatever she hadn't used. And so there it sat in my bag. And one thing you should know about me, I am a world-class ditherer. If I can overanalyze a problem, man, I will do it, and I will do it thoroughly. And so every now and then I would go through my project bags and I'd say, oh, I really like that. But Sue had done hers in DMC, and I had done mine with NPI silk. And so I was like, well, should I get the silk? Because I did this one in silk. Will it look really different? So I kind of viewed them as companion pieces. And about a month ago, I said, oh, for heaven's sake, stop. I had extra fabric from Heaven and Nature Sing. So I had the butter pecan Lakeside. I had the DMC. I had the pattern. I'm like, well, yeah, just take the win and stitch it already. So I did. I'm almost done. So here is Peace on Earth by Kathy Barrick. And I mean, look at that owl. So, 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 so cute. And here is my progress. All right, so that is my progress. I'm just about done. I've got everything in. I've got a little bit on the branch to do. I've got the long stitches for the pine needles and a couple of those snowflakes, which are kind of murder for me because, you know, those white snowflakes, there's not a lot of contrast. And I don't know about you, but white floss, I always have a little bit of a problem with it, but here it is. And then part of me, I couldn't figure out what was going on, but this owl, this little face, every time I saw it, it made me laugh hysterically. And I'm like, well, and it's cute, but, and then it occurred to me, this owl looks exactly like my cat Tucker. I'm going to put a picture in there and see what you think. Right? Oh, Tucker. So I'm just about done with that. And then I'm going to just buy frames, which hopefully I won't dither too much. I'm like, I've been really, should I do gold? Should I do wood? Should I paint it a barn red? I hope they're up for this Christmas. They should be, except that I cannot make up my mind. So there you go. So once those are done, then I've got, this is early December, so I can do a little bit more in the way of holiday stitching if I'd like. And as I was going through my stash, I pulled this out, long out of print, but this book, this is Better Homes and Gardens Christmas book. And this one is from, I believe, 1990. Put on my glasses. They glare too much. Yeah, it's Christmas 1990. If you can find this anywhere, you should buy it. It's got the best patterns. It's like, oh, that's nice. Oh, that's cute. I'll show you a few of them. So in here, I had decided to start this. And you could make these as ornaments, or you could attach them to a tree skirt. And this is the 12 Days of Christmas. Oops, the cover just fell off. Yeah. It's really falling apart. 12 Days of Christmas. So there's, I'm sorry for any glare, but there's all of the different days. There are 12 ornaments. And they're all really pretty. And so I actually started these. I forgot I started them. Forgot all about them, as a matter of fact. So I have partridge in a pear tree, 2 turtle doves, not pretty, and then 3 French hens. 3 French hens just, oops, still have a little bit to do. Sorry for the wrinkles, but I actually had everything pressed, and I recorded myself last week, and I had to re-record myself because I'm like, why am I so fuzzy? And so, I brought it to my husband. I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, let me see your camera. And he's like, Diane, you have chocolate on your lens. That's how I get through my day. So he cleaned off my lens. I think it's a little better. Ladies, check your lens for chocolate before you're going to film. Anyhow, there's my 3 French hens. I've got a little more room on this fabric for a few more, so maybe I can get a couple of those knocked out. A couple of other things in this book, which is why I think it's worth looking for if you can find it. I don't know whether Better Homes and Gardens just has an archive that you can go buy these or not, but we have this cute, like a reindeer and Santa, Joyeux Noel. I just love those. And they may be a little bit more cutesy than the stuff that I typically do, but I still really love them. And then they also have, this is an advent calendar. So you stitch the wreath and then you stitch the pockets with the numbers and then buy, little wooden ornaments or whatever and red ball buttons and you just hang them on one a day until you hit Christmas. I love that. And there is a Nutcracker one, but I think I'm not going to be able to find it because I don't know what happened. Anyhow, these are great. They do not tell you who designed them, so I have a feeling they just hired some designers and stuck them in the bowels of the Better Homes and Gardens building until they knocked out whatever they were supposed to be designing. So, but there's a lot of good stuff in this book. Again, it is 1990 Better Homes and Gardens Christmas. Last year I bought this kit through the Julie Krisavi Homespun Needlework Facebook group, and it is by Heartstring Samplery, Hope Song. And I mean, who doesn't love a little chickadee? I love them. You'll find that I do a lot of stitching of birds and flowers and nature. That's kind of my jam. So here is that. And I did make a start. I do have some of the poinsettia or poinsettia, I don't know how you pronounce it, poinsettia border done. So there's really not a ton of stitching on this left to do. And so I think if I could knock this out prior to Christmas, that'd be great. And the kit came, I don't think you can get this, but the kit came with the mounting board, and it's got little pussy willows etched into the top here, and some rickrack that coordinates. So I can leave this up actually through the winter. You know, it doesn't really, even though it's poinsettias, it doesn't really scream Christmas so much as just kind of a nice winter piece. So I think that'll be a nice thing for me to work on. I'll have something on the wall. I don't have a ton of cross stitch on my walls right now, so I got to work on that. Even though I've stitched consistently for 20 years or much more. Oof. I don't have a ton. I don't know what it is, but I know what it is. I don't frame anything. Here's another thing that I stitched as another little winter stitch. This is Bent Creek Photo Booth series. I don't know if you can still get these, but I did these snowmen. And that third one down with the snowman with the carrots for ears really cracked me up. And I've had this done for a while, so it's time to order a little frame, because I think it's going to have to be a special order frame. But there you have best friends and then the goofballs. This kind of actually sums up my relationship with Chief Enabler Sue, to be honest with you. Another thing that I have done, and have yet to finish, that is winter related, is Plum Street. Hello, winter. I love this. Who doesn't love a chubby cardinal? So here it is, done. Oop. And I'm not sure how I'm going to finish it. My sense is I'll probably end up framing it rather than making a pillow. I have all the seasons. I have fall done. I have summer started under here, and then I did do spring, and that's going to be a very sad story that I'll tell you about at another time. My life. Anyhow, there's Hello Winter, and I think I'll probably frame it, and then I want to do some smalls in the aforementioned wooden basket that I bought. Other winter things that I'd like to work on. Bought this a couple of weeks ago. Peppermint and Pine by Brenda Gervais with my needle and thread. And it's 3 little pin cushions, all featuring a different woodland birds again. But, you know, look at that cute little tufted titmouse next to the owl. And then, of course, the owl and the cardinal. I mean, they're so sweet. And I actually ended up buying it because my husband was nice enough to take me over to the cross stitch store. It's oh, I can't remember the name of the store. I will put it in my I'll put it in the comments so that you can find it. It's a store in North Attleboro. Nope, it's not on the, I thought maybe it'd be on the package. It's a store in North Attleboro, and it's a really cute store. They've got a lot of really nice things there, well equipped. We don't have a lot of L&S stores up here in the Northeast. This is much more of I think a Midwest or Southwest type of thing. Even so, you know, in the South, there just seem to be more of them. So having found one that I like, there's one in North Attleboro and there's another one in Littleton, The World in Stitches, and they're wonderful too. But I really wanted to see this one. So it's just always nice to see the pattern in person, and also to see models stitched up. I mean, clearly that moves a lot of product when people can show, you know, what it will look like. So that's one thing I want to work on. The other thing I want to work on, I love this, is Winter Rose Manor. Again, with My Needle and Thread by Brenda Gervais. I love everything about this. I love the house and the cardinals, that little flower basket on top. I'm going to stitch this as a memento of my childhood home. When my mother was going to have me, they decided they needed a bigger house. I had a sister and a brother, and I was coming along. And so this was post-war. They built a lot of housing for GIs, so they were doing this whole development and new construction. So my parents bought this house, and because it was new, they said, well, what color would you like it, Mrs. Kane? And my mother chose pink with brown trim. So I guess they came around the corner to move into their new house, and it was more Pepto than Shell pink. Let's put it that way. It was pink with this brown trim, and my mother was like, oh my God, what the neighbors must have thought watching the paint go on this house. And so, they moved in, and the house was pink for a number of years. They eventually painted it red, which is how I remember it really growing up. But so as a memory of, or an homage to Dobbin Street where I grew up, I'm going to stitch Winter Rose Manor. I'll probably put my parents' initials, maybe their wedding date in here. They were married like 54 years. They were married a long time. She was a war bride. And I'll probably stick with that conch color unless I feel it's a little too soft. I don't know. Sometimes there's so much variation, but that's probably what I'll stick with. So as I mentioned, I don't have a lot of cross stitch on my walls or around my house. Because I always felt, I don't know, it felt like I was inflicting my artistic sense or whatever on my whole family. And was that fair? Making everybody look at cross stitch. Changed my position on this, by the way, having looked at your houses and your beautiful stitching walls and all of that. But I, a couple of years ago, said, well, given that there's only so much I can have in my house, but I still like to stitch, what am I going to do? So what I decided was I would find products or patterns specific to my friends and stitch something for them from me. And so I've done a number of these. Luckily, I don't have too many friends, so I don't have too many to do, but I try to do 1 or 2 a year as I have time available. So it is now time for my friend Barb's special stitch, and her favorite movie, or at least her Christmas movie, is It's a Wonderful Life. So It's a Wonderful Life. Again, this is Stacy Nash. It's a Wonderful Life. It's a pin drum, which I had toyed with maybe making it something that I would frame. Still not 100% sure I won't do that, but it would require a lot of rejiggering with the border and everything else. So I might do a pin drum, and then I'll buy her an antique compote and get them on eBay. And the top, I would actually like to put the family's name on it, so that she and her husband, they have 2 children who are both married, and then there are 3 grandchildren right now. So I think I'd love to do that, to personalize that in that way for them. And maybe at a later Flosstube, I'll show you some of the other things that I have stitched for my friends and given away, so that they have something to remember me by at some point in the future. So this is probably going to go to Barb. I was going to try and get this done for Christmas, and well, life had other plans. And so her birthday's in February. And maybe this goes to the top of the list. After, here goes my cat. Tucker, right? Showed you his picture. He weighs 20 pounds. So if you see him, if it looks like there's an eclipse going on, that's just him going by. Looks like he's just going to go on a blanket. Okay. Anyhow. One other thing that I thought I would chat about, in talking about, leaving something for your friends and having something personalized that you've done for them. On the back of each one, I write a little note and explain why I selected it and what my thinking was and how I felt when I was stitching the piece, so that it can stay with what I framed for them. And I guess I do it because, we disappear pretty quickly. The generation after us, and maybe grandchildren, if you have them, will remember you. But beyond that, right? But the things that we have of our ancestors take on a new meaning if they're documented well enough, or that we kind of know the meaning behind them. And so I just think it's important to be leaving little pieces of yourself for future generations, so they do get a sense of you. And it always made me feel like all these women, all of these beautiful samplers that we look at on these channels or going to a museum or whatever, you know, you just look at them and you say, well, this woman stitched this in the 1700s, 1800s, and here it is, you know, all of us looking and marveling at the craftsmanship and the color choices and everything that was done to make that piece. And that's what's left, really, what's left of that person. And so I found this book, and if you're looking for a book for a nonfiction reader in your life, I mean, this is nonfiction, but if you're looking for a book that I found personally really enjoyable, it's called Threads of Life. Threads of Life. And the author's name is Claire Hunter. And the subtitle is A History of the World Through the Eye of a Needle. And I adored this book because it does talk about the anonymity of women and the fact that even in the role, you know, the census rolls weren't given a name. It was just wife of or daughter of. You didn't even have your name in there. And so when those women did pass on, their needlework was the surviving thing. And so women understanding that put little pieces of themselves in all of these particular pieces of stitched work. And so in this book, she just kind of talks about, she starts with the Bayeux tapestries, which were, you know, Middle Ages. I think they were stitched in the Middle Ages. She talks about Mary Queen of Scots, who used her stitching to send messages to her allies. Like she'd send off a piece of stitched work with some sort of, you know, imagery or something that would let somebody know what was going on. And it talks about quilts. It talks about any kind of needlecraft out there, and there's a different chapter for different things. She is from Glasgow, so she does talk a lot about Scottish stitching and the stitching guilds up there. And so if you are looking for a little book that you would like to slip under the tree or in a stocking, and that person tends to enjoy nonfiction works, Threads of Life is a great one. And I think she wrote another one that actually just talks about Mary Queen of Scots and what she did with her stitching to help her allies try to rescue her, obviously unsuccessfully. But anyhow, that's a book recommendation from me. And I think, my friends, that's probably about all I'll put you through today. I don't even know if anybody's stuck through or stuck by me till the end, but if you have, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Please subscribe and like my video if you'd like, and recommend me to your friends. And I do appreciate you taking a half hour of your time to spend with me. I hope it was entertaining. I'll probably do these every 2 or 3 weeks, depending on my schedule and what's going on and how much I've been able to actually stitch. And I thank all of you because, you know, in a world that is unkind, here on Flosstube, there's unfailing kindness and generosity and sweetness that this world is just so lacking right now. And so I wish all of you peace and happiness and happy stitching until I see you again in a couple of weeks. Thanks again. Bye-bye.